BPD brain versus normal brain. This was on my creator search insights, which basically tells me where there's a content gap, an area where people are researching that content needs to be made about. I'll tell you why I have a problem with this messaging. I feel like it is reductionistic in terms of saying a normal brain versus a borderline brain without really explaining the intricacies, the nuances that this disorder really deserves. Because the fact is, if somebody has borderline personality disorder, it's really just one petal in their flower, okay? It's like emotions are kind of like turned up to max volume, okay? And it's difficult to cope with. And also there's different causes for this condition. There's genetic predispositions, there's growing up in an invalidating environment, there's trauma, and it's not a disorder that's just mood swings. I think sometimes on social media, we have a tendency to make things a bit more black and white than they actually are. And sometimes that gets more engagement and things like that. And I think that really take the time to understand this disorder, because I think that some of the messaging, some of how we talk about it, the disorder, borderline personality disorder, could leave the individuals who have it feeling kind of irreparably damaged and like they can't be fixed, when in actuality there are treatments out there that are very, very effective for this disorder, dialectical behavior therapy being one. I think sometimes these individuals go into traditional cognitive behavior therapy and find themselves feeling very invalidated because it's so heavy on change focus, changing things. And let's be honest, guys, knowledge doesn't change behavior, right? So anyway, that's what I love about DBT, kind of that balance between not only like the change skills, but also like acceptance and mindfulness skills. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on this creator search insights topic of BPD brain versus normal brain, because it's not really like an us versus them when it comes to mental illness. And I just think we need to think about how we are discussing these things and talking about these things. But yeah, with borderline personality disorder, typically what it's characterized by are things like black and white thinking, mood reactivity, sometimes stress-induced paranoia, anger outbursts, idealization versus devaluation. So thinking somebody's like the best person ever to the worst person ever in kind of a short period of time. Unstable sense of self can be a big one. Not really knowing who, like their identity, can be difficult. What else am I forgetting? Sometimes self-destructive behaviors, chronic self-harm, or SI. Those are some of the big ones that come to mind when I think about this disorder. And I think that some people have kind of, mental illness is a spectrum, right? So some people call it like quiet borderline personality disorder, where it's like on paper from the outside, maybe these symptoms that they're dealing with aren't creating such a negative impact on their functioning that borderline personality does, but it could be causing them a lot of distress internally that we don't necessarily see. Just because their functioning isn't severely impaired doesn't mean that somebody's not struggling internally and feeling like they're walking through mud, or feeling like they're out of control with their emotions and wishing that they had more control with their emotional responses. So, yeah, I think that's what I have to say about this topic. Happy New Year's.